Well, I want to give an important update for silver, and it's going to be an important update. You're going to get some other twist on things and some other factoids maybe you never heard of before. And there's people that want to be in cash. Go ahead. I think that's a smart idea. I don't really give a damn, what people do because, I figured when silver was below 30, that would be a smart buy, and it'd be killing me right now for what if I told them that. So, do whatever you want. But I think eventually, when silver goes up, the main buyers are going to be the middle class. They're going to be the ones that are going to get ripped off, and they're going to be convinced that the whole system's falling apart. Now, I want to present a couple things about China. First off, China has not been buying, they hold U.S. debt, some U.S. debt. They have not been buying any U.S. debt since 2011. Okay, for the last 2 years, that's what it is. They got the same amount of holdings. They're not adding to it. Okay? Last week, and you heard about some of the riots and stuff like that, and like they're maybe exaggerated, but there were some banks that had their ATM machines closed in China, and they said it was a system upgrade. They were doing a system upgrade. That was the reason. But now that the new quarter's coming up, they already had the new quarter. That was like a few weeks ago. Things are back to normal because they don't have the end of the quarter reports to deal with, how much capitalization they have and that type of stuff. Now, I presented something. I'm going to skip around on some different areas because I'm going to try to hit a lot of things on this video. On Jim Rogers, I know like people had a lot of faith in what he says sometimes. He talked about a gold correction, and gold did correct 35-40% from its high of 1921, and it went below 1200. And then he says it could have a 50% correction. But the news media takes his words and stretches them out further. Plus, I already think that he does not want to say that he's probably buying gold. And it's not the only investment in the world. It's the only investment in the world for some people. Like they're all metals. The metals. But it's not the only damn thing in the world that produces can give you money. And metals only give you money on capital gains. They don't give you money by paying interest or producing or anything like that. It's all capital gains. So that's what I call a speculative investment, right? So, but I have to remember, you have to remember this, because Jim Rogers was partners with George Soros. If George Soros was saying this, man, he'd be like, oh, he's full of shit, because he's George Soros. And the other thing is, I always say there's a little, I don't know how much it is, so how much of it's even justified. There's anti-Semitism in this country. And if it was, instead of Jim Rogers, it was Rabbi Ruderstein or something, nobody would listen to him because they think, he's trying to freaking fool us. There's a lot of people that think like that. But you got to remember, Rogers and Soros were working together as partners for a long time. Soros broke the Bank of England, but Rogers knows how to freaking play the game. He doesn't know everything like he's God, but he doesn't tell you what he's doing. Important consideration. Now, here's the other thing that was coming about. It's not exactly about silver, but it's about, and gold, it's about aluminum, but it tells you the kind of rackets that are going on. And the Federal Reserve is reviewing a landmark 2003 decision that first allowed regulated banks to trade in physical commodity markets, right? So the deal there. We always say the price is manipulated. In actuality, in April, the way gold was driven down, gold has not moved that much percentage-wise as a price in percentages, even in its 5,000-year history. So, also, before I even get into this part, earlier this year, in January 2013, the bullion banks were all short on commodities, big time. But they were not short oil, hardly at all. They were pretty much long on oil. Now the bullion banks, as of mid-May, are long on the commodities, silver and stuff, and gold and all that gold, really. And silver is like a wild animal because, even if gold's going up, silver can go up faster and then slower. It should catch up, though. It should get faster gains. But anyway, it's like the Federal Reserve is reviewing a landmark 2003 decision that first allowed regulated banks to trade in physical commodity markets. They're feeling some pressure on this issue. They felt compelled to make a couple of statements because you know what's going on. They're not just feeling pressure because of GATA or some crap. It's actually a lot of it's over aluminum. And they're finding pressure from Alcoa Aluminum and Coca-Cola, which sells cola in aluminum cans and a hell of a lot of aluminum cans. And they're getting really juiced on their price. Juiced. They're getting nailed on the price or whatever the hell you want to call it, because of what the big banks are doing. The pressure may intensify as the U.S. power market regulators levies record fines over manipulated power markets. It levied $453 million penalty against Barclays. Right, that was just very, very recently, this last week. And also it's in talking about settled charges against J.P. Morgan. Now, it's not just over the drug trade and all this kind of stuff and drug money. It actually has to do a lot with commodities. The Federal Reserve regularly monitors commodity activities of supervised firms and reviews the 2003 determination that certain commodity activities are complementary to financial activities and permissible to bank holding companies. But what they're doing is, one thing they're doing is storage. It's like, it says, according to the New York Times, that this storage game they got going on with aluminum has cost American consumers of aluminum products, like Coca-Cola is one of them that sells it and stuff, and they're getting hit there, $5 billion over the last 3 years. Now, they're doing this in aluminum, but can you figure they can't be doing this in other things? And I'm also going to get on to something else, too, here. Metro International Trade Services, an aluminum storage company that Goldman Sachs bought out 3 years ago. What they do is they have an average wait time at the storage facility has gone up more than 20-fold. And what they'll do is they'll truck aluminum from one storage facility to another storage facility that are both owned by Goldman Sachs. And the cost of the storage is actually passed on to the consumer, right? So just like I talked about Palladium going up to like 4 times the price of gold back in 2001, I think it was, and bought by Ford, passed on to the consumer, right? There could have been a lot of inside stuff going on there besides just the Russians. Anyway, it says basically one analyst estimated that around 90% of aluminum moved each day went to another Goldman-owned warehouse. Now, you figure if they're of this character to do this, they do this with everything. And they're getting money for it. This is the interesting thing. The body that governs the industry actually is the London's Metal Exchange collects 1% of rent from aluminum storage facilities. So the longer it's stored, so if it's stored 20 times longer, the London Metals Exchange gets 20 times as much rent money for that, right? So they don't investigate it. But it's actually Boeing, Coca-Cola, Alcoa has been putting pressure on Goldman, but it goes beyond aluminum, all right? I mean, a lot of people aren't thinking, these guys are scammers no matter which way, It's like all over the place. Now, what I'm going to say is this. Later on, when silver and gold go way the hell up, and I know what you're saying, it's never going to go up, keep the fiat dollar forever, go ahead. I don't really give a shit. But when it goes way the hell up, the ones that are going to be the major buyers are going to be the middle class. And everybody's going to be looking at this demand curve going like this. They're going to have all the stats out there how silver's running out in the earth. They're going to have all the stats how gold's running out in the earth. They're going to have all the stats like how much more the oil costs, how much more it's costing to produce. And, there's going to be all the experts out there talking real cute and shit like that. And it's going to be all a scam. And that's going to be later on. It's going to go way the hell up. May go way up this year. If this crap with Iran happens faster than we expect, because it looks like Egypt and Syria are, Syria, they're talking about bombing Syria now because, Assad's getting more backing, so they're going to bomb them. Egypt is more unrest. Once that's taken care of and they're out of the way, Iran is the next thing, So commodities in oil will go way up. But there's a lot of games and manipulation. There is manipulation. I mean, I'm talking about aluminum here with the storage being 20 times longer than it should be and costing the average end consumer over $5 billion. But we know it's going on with everything. Everything. And that's just the nature of the game. But later on, you're going to probably hear Jim Rogers and everybody else. You know, I don't even mind Jim Rogers too much, but I mean, you know, they'll be picking sound bites from what he says. You know, oh yeah, I think gold is a good investment. I have gold and all this kind of crap when it's up to $2,500 an ounce, and he might be selling it. I don't know what he'd be doing then. You know what I mean? And that's exactly how Sprott played it, and everybody in the world was freaking throwing stones at me left and right, even after Sprott sold in April 28th, 2011, and in the summer of 2011. And I pointed this out, and you know, there's other people I found out from other people. I mean, I stopped looking at the silver blogger channels. I found out from other people, and you know, everybody was still like, well, no, he's a billionaire. No, he's trying to save the middle class. And, you know, I don't give a shit, man. To tell you the truth, go right ahead. Hey, you know, for the naysayers, the fiat dollar is the best thing in the world to hold forever. For the naysayers. It's like an individual decision. Do what the hell you want. But I smell something coming up. And when stuff does get high, there's going to be all the experts out there with the facts, pointing to the curves, how it's going up. You know, it's like, you know, it made up for lost time. It's, you know, the charts say this, the charts say that. You know, all this bullshit. And that's when it's going to be getting top heavy, and you probably should be unloading some. And the word is some, because I wouldn't know exactly when to unload it, you know. But if you make a lot of gains, U.S. dollar is not going away to oblivion, because it looks like all the currencies are in major hot water. So, you know, if there's a reset, I don't even know. You know, the thing is, you got to remember this too, even with the metals. What do we trade? What do we actually do business in the United States, and what are we going to be doing business in the United States for the foreseeable future? The U.S. dollar. And it's like, you know, you're only happy when your metals go up a lot. There's no direct trade of metals for goods. I never see that. I mean, it may happen in small niche circles, but there is no, you don't walk into your every average day, you know, you don't pay your electric bill with silver, you don't pay your phone bill with silver, you don't go into stores and buy things with silver. You might be able to make some private trades like that, but that's the exception to the rule. You're going to have to trade it in for dollars. So if the entire system collapses, like some of these freaks say, you're going to actually be SOL. You're going to have to actually have food, fuel, and firepower more than silver. But as far as when it goes up a lot more later, the ones that are actually the ones that are going to be actually buying it, hook, line, and sinker, are going to be the middle class. And they're going to be doing it out of fear and out of nothing safe. Just like they're scared right now, they're thinking the dollar is the only thing that's safe right now. They're going to be doing that with silver. They're going to totally, actually, I think a lot of the fiat pumpers right now are going to be 180 degrees different later on when silver goes way up. They're going to be all on it then. So, do whatever you want, but, you know, I don't even know why I put this information out here, because I think I'm actually putting out legit information more than anybody else out there. It's like the sensationalist and, you know, people like AJ, they're getting, you know, if I put something out like the Martians are invading or the world's run by a lizard people, it would be a very lucrative video. So, you know, that's why I'm kind of wondering why I even put this kind of stuff out here. But, you know, it's pure common sense. That's all I have to say, and that's what I go by. I can use charts too, but I realize there's other factors going on, and you have to look at the big picture. So the big picture states there is a lot of manipulation in the markets on silver and gold. A lot. China is going down, which means it could mean that, oh yeah, it's more of a slowdown, maybe they'll buy less commodities. But, you know, at the same time, they have a major liquidity crunch, and they're going to have to do QE. They're going to have to do QE. America's doing QE. Europe's going to have to start doing QE. And Japan's already on super QE. And it looks like America's on the edge of more warfare in the Middle East, which means more stress on the debt for the government. So, if you think metals are a bad investment, it's your own personal choice. That's all I have to say.